Okay, let's start here. I read a lot recently that I simply cannot shake. And we read, how can we really judge people or their choices when we know nothing about their options? If we are honest, we do this every day. We look at someone else's messes, a broken life, a bad decision, anything I would never. But we are judging the outcome, not the path. We see the wreckage, we never see the story. Hey, my name is Asmadi. My close friends are known as ID, as in the brand Adidas. That's just the first three alphabets. I'm a volunteer mentor with a non-profit social enterprise that specializes in developing human potential of youth at risk and ex-offenders who were mainly into substance abuse through outreach, developmental, and intervention programs. In fact, we had a program session earlier this morning as a Selarang rehabilitation. Today, I want to talk about two kinds of people we judge fastest. One, those struggling with substance abuse, and those we label simply as difficult or unruly. Because if there is any place we need to pause before pointing the finger, it's here. Let me tell you about my friend. Let's call him Rashid. Okay. Rashid was the funniest person in any room. Sharp wit, big laugh, but somewhere in his 20s, he fell into addiction. Pills first, then other things. In my family, we became experts at judging him. But doesn't just him. He chose that life. I say those things myself, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but I did. Then one night, I was visiting Rashid at his auntie's place. Rashid was in the bathroom, and I heard him crying. Not loud crying, the kind you hide, the kind that sounds like a wounded animal. I stood outside the dead door, and for the first time, I asked the teacher question. Not why would he stop, but what were his options? Here's what I learned. His father walked out when he was 9. His mother worked 2 jobs. So Rashid raised himself. At 14, he was molested by a coach. He didn't know, not for years. By the time he found pills, they did not feel like a choice. They felt like a relief. The only door that opened in a hallway full of fire. Does that excuse him stealing from his grandmother? No. Does it make the chaos okay? Absolutely not. But it stopped me from saying he chose wrong and made me start asking what doors were ever open to him. Judgment is easy, and you never needed a door that ugly. Now, let us talk about people we call typical. The neighbor who blasts music at 2 a.m., the co-worker who explodes over nothing. You love to say that character toxic. Let me tell you about a neighbor I used to have. Let's call him Abid. Okay. Abid was loud, He screamed at his kids, he slammed doors. Everyone in our building hated him. We would whisper, "What's wrong with that guy?" Then one night, I came home late. Abin was sitting alone on the front steps. He wasn't yelling, he was shaking. I almost walked past him, but honestly I wanted to, but I did not. I sat down next to him, and after a long silence, he looked at me and said something I will never forget. "I lost my job 6 months ago. My wife left and took the kids. I have not told anyone. I do not know how to be a person anymore." Suddenly, the loud music, that was not my character. There was a man trying not to hear his own silence. The screaming, there was pain with no vocabulary. The anger, that was survival, wearing a different mask. I'm not excusing abusive behavior, I'm not tolerating danger, but I'm saying every single unruly person has a backstory we do not know. They grew up with parents who scream, so they learn to scream. They tried the right choices, therapy, being nice, and those doors were locked. So they defaulted to the only door that ever opened, and that is anger, chaos, control through volume. We call it bad character. Maybe, just maybe, it is survival. So, what do we do with this? I have started basing my judgment on hardest questions. Instead of asking, why are they like this, I ask, what were their options at the worst moment of their life? No one wakes up and says, "I think I'm going to become an addict today." No one decides, "I'm going to be angry person everyone I'm going to be the angry person everyone hates." Those were identities they fell into because the other doors, they were home, the loving parent, access to help, those doors were never built for them. And here's the hardest part for me personally. When I judge an addict or a hot-headed stranger, I'm not just being mean, I'm just being lazy. Judgment doesn't cost nothing. It takes no imagination. But curiosity, that is hard. Asking, "What happened to you, bro? What's wrong with you, bro?" That takes courage. But once you know the story, you cannot unknow it. You might have to feel something. That line keeps echoing in my head. How can we judge people for their choices when we know nothing about their options? It is not about excusing everything. It is about pausing. It is about admitting that we do not know. We do not know what door they were standing in front of when they took their first drink, their first pill, their first swing at the wall. We do not know what doors were locked. Safety, love, dignity, and help. So before you call someone an addict, a monster, or just difficult, take a breath and whisper to yourself, there, by the thousand closed doors I never had to face,